All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. My name is Gabriel Brent, and we're going to be going over, well, a bunch of stuff. Basically, this is the APA Swing Pub, and during this session we are going to be looking at swing trades. What I like to do during this session is look at what we've previously said, how it is lined up, and what we are looking at as far as the forecast for the next week. Now, I have done a couple of trades this week, so for those in the live audience today, we'll be going over what has happened with those previous trades that I've taken, just to show you the system working. Many of you may be aware that my swing trade setup and my intraday day trading setup are, well, they're pretty much exactly the same, except we change out the charts, and we have much bigger charts on the swing trade. So let's go ahead and get started here. First off, I'm going to assume that everybody has the APAZone software and that have some familiar with the idea of trading levels and things of that nature. So on the Aussie yen, we can kind of see prices really kind of been in this really big range here, and we've received the retest of this this lower level. So price has rebounded off of it and is giving us another retest here. So it looks like what we were projecting is for price to come back up here before it comes back down. So we're looking for this bounce to hold and to give us a retest to the upside. So on the daily time frames, this is our main context charts. For looking at trades, we have some interesting stuff going on here right now. So we've seen one failure of price action to break this daily zone that we've been in. Actually, we've had a few different retests here. Boom, boom, and boom. And technically this is one too. Okay. So we've had those retests, and price action has failed to break this level so far. So now we're looking at price coming back up here. So that's what we're looking at to have happen in the near future. So we're going to be watching the daily levels, this aqua level up above that is fresh and new, and see what goes on from there. So coming into an actual entry then, what we want to be looking for is something that looks like a really good retest of supports, okay, on this market here. That's what I'm looking for right now, okay? So on the daily charts, that's pretty much how I see things. Is just finding that good support area to load into and then to take it to the upside, okay? So moving right along. We've been in a downtrend here on the Aussie dollar, and we can see that on the weekly charts. We're receiving a retest of a new low that we have down there, but price is overall getting pretty consolidated here. All right, so on the dailies, which again is our context charts, we have the APA trender coming in here, giving us a nice push to the downside. And I'm going to check something real quick here, so hold on just a second. Okay, that's better. We got the data coming in here now. So from last week, we were looking for price to do kind of what it's doing here. So it has come up and it's retesting this higher area. Now, it didn't quite touch where the brown zone is, which is interesting. And when it doesn't touch a resistance level like this, I think one of two things. I think that price needs to, or resistance, in this case, resistance or supply is so strong that we should be jumping into a level a little bit lower down here. The other thing that I tend to think is wait until we have a little bit of confirmation of this zone, like wait until we see price coming back down here to the blue line before we get in, because this may be just a little bit of a break, and then it barely breaches this lower high, retest the brown zone, and then pushes even lower. Okay, so those are my two thoughts here. So I am looking to sell, but we want to take the sell in a confirmation direction. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to everybody. All right, so let's go ahead and move along. All right, looking at the Euro Aussie. Okay, weekly chart, we've drawn the trend line to the downside, so we're thinking short. Looking at the daily charts, we've identified this level here and the trend line to the downside, and we see the retest on the daily. And what we were looking at is price to break down. So let me refresh my historical data here. Okay, so in doing so, we can see that price did break down. All right, price broke down below this low, and it's come back up. So we're getting that retest that we're looking at here, and we would be looking for price to expand down to the downside. All right. Now, in the past few days, since giving that that look here, we can kind of see price, failing to do this motion in a dramatic way. All right. So not to say that this won't happen, okay? Not to say that this won't happen, but it may take a little bit of time. All right. All right, and it looks like I'm having some audio problems here, so hold on just a sec. All right, so hopefully this is a little bit better now, but looking at this, I'm still thinking that we are seeing a little bit of a reload of this previous high right here before the downwards push happens. Now, could it fail to do this? Absolutely. But let's go look into our 60-minute levels just to see what we can see here, and to see if there's not a good place where we could, there we go. Okay, so here are the 60-minute levels, and you can see the nice little hammer candle right here. All right, reloading into the level, and then if we were to get into something like this, you want to make sure that you're taking this entry in a confirmation in a confirmation way. Okay, now we just had support form here, but we could realistically be looking at like a 1-to-1 type of ratio, because we're looking at this being more in the trend direction. So even though this new fresh resistance has formed, we're going to say that this level is not created equally as the resistance levels up above us. All right, so that's what I would be looking for here, to see if something like that can work out in our favor. And I like the idea of taking the target just before the bottom of the zone, where it's likely we're going to be hitting resistance down, or excuse me, support down there, and then looking to our daily chart and where the lowest point has been, which has been actually a little bit lower than that. So I'd be looking at this zone for T2 and then a possible T3 below that. All right, so that's just an idea of how to jump into the trend, how to join the trend, assuming that the trend is down.
Okay, and that's based upon our analysis on the context chart, which is our bigger time frame here. Okay, actually from both of those. Something else that I should mention as we're flipping instruments is technically with the Apazone software, if you have the generations package or greater, you don't really need these two charts as much because you can look at all the levels on the entry chart. But for this exercise in swing trading, we're going to show all these different charts just so that we can get a better idea of what's going on here. Okay. All right. So let's look here at the euro pound, and basically what we have going on is the following. We've defined this thing as a downtrend previously. We have been looking at this weekly zone over here to give us some resistance, and it has come up, but not touching this weekly level altogether. Okay. So let's go see on the daily chart exactly what our context is. Okay. So we've had a double top into this yellow zone, basically making the zone yellow. And we are looking for price to move down from this blue zone that we have right now down to the aqua level. And that hasn't happened yet. It's in the process of happening, but it hasn't happened yet. Okay? So this idea is still intact, and if we want to, we can jump on board in our smaller time frame. So again, we're going to be looking to jump on at resistance. Okay, so here on the 60-minute time frame, we're going to be jumping in at resistance. So our most current two levels are right here and right here. We want to jump into resistance, so we want price to come back up into this level, reload real quick, and then pop back down. And that would be the play that we're looking for. Okay, or if price even got a little bit higher than that, that would be okay too. Maybe like this yellow zone here and pop back down. All right, but we want to sell at resistance and buy back at support as our trend is down on this market as well. All right, so let's go over to the euro yen. Same type of thing happening here. We've identified probably a couple daily zones, it looks like, on our chart, on our weekly chart. So coming into these daily zones, basically what we're looking at was we had the new low, and we were looking for a retest up here at our resistance level, which guess what? That's what we're seeing right now. Okay, so I don't think I have to tell you what happens next if you are in a downtrend. What do we want to be doing up here? We want to be looking for resistance. Okay, we want to sell at resistance, buy back at support. So lo and behold, look at what we have right there, ladies and gentlemen. A beautiful bounce off of that level on the 60-minute chart. And now we need to buy back at support. So let's just say that you got in, well, let's just say that you're getting in somewhere here close, you know. You can look at the next zone, and you could put your stop right above that one, okay? And that would be a real quick target. 123.30. And so if we're getting in at 123.30, which is right up in here, we would be looking for a T2 one tick outside of this aqua zone down here. Okay, so that's a $2 move for a T2, And I think that's a pretty conservative T2. We could also take the T2 down here at the very bottom, or maybe where the wicks meet the bodies of the candles. That would be a really good support level as well, just one tick above where that happens. That, I believe, would be a good T2. So let's just say that we measure the 16 ticks here, and then we go even further down for a T3, because let's face it, with our T3s, we want to make it look good. We want to make it look like we're a real pro in doing this. So that would be something of what I would be looking at here. Okay? So I hope that makes sense as to how all this stuff works out. And moving right along, I'm going to move over to the dollar yen. Okay, the dollar yen is making new highs on the weekly, so on the daily we can zoom in here. And let's just show the current levels, okay? So this is what we drew out at the beginning of the month, it looks like, with a nice little retracement. Well, the retracement really happened, except we're a little bit lower than what we were looking at that time. Okay, and that's fine. We know what's down here. All right, so we can adjust that out, and that's all well and good. Now, notice that the trender is flat. The EPA trender is flat, which means we're playing in chop. We're playing in range. All right. This is unlike the other markets that we've just been looking at. This is a little bit more. Well, it's just in a different market condition. Okay. So, looking at this, we've seen the bounce off of this level, off of the new aqua level. We're seeing a bounce right now. This red candle represents a bounce, which if price doesn't do anything more here, you know, like if it doesn't go any higher, this aqua zone will turn to the nice blue color. All right. So how far down could it come? Well, it could be stair-stepping, so you know I could easily see it coming back down into here and then coming back up. Now, our trend is technically up, but we are starting to flatline on this thing. Okay, so if we're flatlining, that means we're in the range, so we want to play the extremes. We've identified this as a range, and obviously price has bounced off of this level several times. Okay, so now we want to look at the high zone on our chart, which is really this, where this zone is up here. Okay, so we really want to look at the high zone up here. This is really going to define our range. All right, just like that. That's what I'm really looking at as far as playing this range goes. Does that make sense? Okay, good deal. So that's the range that I'm looking at playing here. Buy low, sell high in the range, just like what we're always trying to do. But realize that that's the market condition that we are in. Okay, moving into CL, or crude oil. Crude oil has had some interesting things happen here. We have seen, well, overall in the weekly charts, we are looking to the short side. We're seeing price reload into our weekly zone here, all right, for the second time, all right. So on the daily, because this zone has been hit a couple times now, you know, and we can kind of see where this weekly level is, I definitely think it's capable of coming up, okay? Now, please also note that our trender, while it's been red for a long time, it is starting to flatten out. Again, we're going flatline here, all right? And we have not seen closes above these previous highs here, okay, but they have come really close. And right now I can kind of see on this, the past couple days we've been moving from like this consolidation into more of an expansion candle. So I would like to see a couple more candles getting up into the 60 range as far as what's going on here. All right, now because of the way this is lining out, and this goes into a little bit more advanced methodologies here, this could be a long opportunity lining up. Okay, I would be looking to see the shift of supply and demand happening here. All right, because this level has been hit so many times. Now, is it possible that it could go just a little bit higher, maybe touch, let's just say 60 because it's a good round number in there, or 59, and then come right back down? Absolutely, you know. But we know that this is relatively high on our charts, okay? But we don't want to be standing in front of the bus. But once price comes out of here in a confirmation way, you know, price comes up here, touches, and then comes down, we can jump on the bus as it comes down, assuming that the trend is still down, all right? But because of the more the advanced look that you will find in our mentorship program and stuff like that, this trend to the downside could be coming to a close here, all right? Because we are definitely going a lot more sideways right now, okay? So we will see how that looks. But we just want to wait right now because we don't want to be a buyer into resistance, buying right up there at the highs. We'd rather be, you know, down lower. We'd rather be buying down here to sell up there, right? So we just kind of need to wait a little bit to see if we can catch it to the short side, or once price reverses and we have a new high up here, let's see if something like this happens. Okay, so that could happen too. So that's my thoughts here on CL, and I actively trade this, so I'm very much aware of what it's doing right now. Now, as far as the S&P 500, we have new highs on this market. We've just popped the top of this range that we've been in for the past several days on the weekly, and coming into the daily. You can see the range that we have had going back and forth. We've just formed new support right here, and we've peaked above the resistance or the supply, okay? So now that we've done that, I'm looking for price to come down here again, retest support, and the shift of supply and demand will be complete, all right? So that is what I would be looking for here on the ES. All right. Now, just to give you another perspective, what does it look like if price reverses here? Well, if price reverses here, then I have to wait for price to come all the way down here, come all the way back up for this level basically to reform itself, and then down. I hope that makes sense. Okay, but that would be the way that I would be looking at stuff. All right. And then you might also see this happen, and possibly even higher. All right. So that is the way that I'm seeing these markets right now. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of consolidation for the next few days, just because we've popped the top, and people are like, "Ooh, this is interesting," you know. So we will see how the next week turns out here. Moving right along, let's go down to gold. All right. On gold, let's get a context read from our higher time frame. It looks like we were in a downtrend here, and we're looking for resistance or supply to come into effect right here on our daily or on our weeklies. So on our dailies, this is what we're looking at here. Now, we've had a pretty good move up here. We see price stair-stepping, just walking on top of itself. So we have a couple levels just stair-stepping on top of themselves, which is going to be forming good support. This level has been hit once, so that means that that level is weaker than this level down here. Okay, not all zones are created equally, and the more times price retests them, the weaker and weaker it gets, right? So looking at this, we've also had one bounce off of this aqua zone, so this zone should be turning blue as well, and we're retesting the high. So we're getting into resistance here. We've barely touched the weekly level, just to the T. So we could be forming a nice little downtrend from here on out, and looking at our overall perspective of price coming into this level, it could work out very nicely. Okay, now because this level has been hit a couple times and we're right back up into the daily on here, I want to be looking to the short side because I think in the bigger picture this is already playing out. It's just a matter of jumping on board with a little bit of confirmation. Okay, so on our weekly, again, in order to take the short, we're going to be looking at selling at resistance, buying back at support. So as prices bounce down into here, and if we can get a retest back into this aqua zone, that means that the aqua zone just below us has already been hit once, and so if we take it short, let's say as it comes back up into here, this would be confirmation, and this level would be weak. All right, so we could take it as it pops back up in here again and goes back down. So let's just say that that's what we're looking for to measure. So looking at the Y value, you're looking at, let's just say 10 ticks in this, and for a target, let's just say it's 33 ticks down here to support, and then we'd want to go up to our daily time frame to be taking T2, which is to play the range. Okay, so I could see something like that playing out. And now, is it going to play out? No idea. But something like that could work. All right, now let's make a case for the long side. All right, because we know we're at resistance right now here on the daily, but could it go higher? And the answer is, well, the market can do anything that it wants to do. All right. So how do we take it if it goes higher? All right, well, we know that this is kind of a new low, so it's more of a trend follow type of area. And if price doesn't stick here, if price doesn't come back down and do this short, then, look out, because price is going to come back up here into the brown level again. Okay, and the brown level has been hit several times, so more than likely, it's going to go through that. Now, could it come back down here? Sure. I could see this area turning into future support and then coming on through. Okay, so that definitely could happen. I also want to be mindful of where that trend line is as well, because that trend line at 1997 could be our magic level, which actually puts it at the bottom of this brown zone right here. So if you follow the trend line from the daily, we get the nice trend line bounce here. Now I know it draws it a little bit weird on the 60-minute chart, but that's what I'd be looking for. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I actually really like that brown zone in the correlation of the shorting opportunity. That looks pretty fantastic to me. Now, yeah, it could happen earlier, but I'd be waiting to see if we can't get up there. And make sure that we're taking the entries in confirmation of a zone bounce, of a resistance bounce, you know. We don't want to stand in front of the bus. We want to let the big institutions do what they do best, you know. Let them drive, and we'll just jump on board. Okay, in Q, we have a new high on NQ as well, or the NASDAQ. All right, so let's jump into the daily as far as context. We were looking for the uptrend to continue, and guess what? It really has. Okay, so I think that's pretty cool. Looks like we were doing some drawing here from earlier, and we were looking for price to keep on moving to the upside. So in a lot of ways, I would say it's the same as ES. You know, look for support to be found here on this new aqua zone, and for price to rewrite this supply zone and turn it from supply into demand. All right. So those are the two areas that I'd be watching in order to get a buy to the high side. So something like this, or like this. XLF. Let's look at the big daily. Okay, so on the daily charts, we can see prices reloaded into this big weekly supply zone for the second time. So a shorting opportunity is possible from the big weekly charts, but we don't want to stand in front of the bus. So we need to jump on the bus in a confirmation way. Okay, so when price dips below this level and closes below this area, that's where I would be looking at jumping on to the short side. Okay. However, if this doesn't happen before that high, before this zone gets taken out, then it would be nice to probably buy in this area, because this area will turn into support. Okay. So it looks like we almost have a flip-flop going on. So it looks like this was resistance, and it's come through this area. All right, and it could be turning into support. All right, so we have boom, boom, boom. So I'm actually looking that direction as far as the daily chart goes. But if price fails to do something, then that's when we can take action. All right, but on the daily chart, it has been going through a range, and we have some breakthrough happening here, so we want to be mindful of that. But if breakthrough doesn't continue to happen off of this level, then maybe you could take something to the short side using that as a target, and maybe do a little entry to here for the short side. All right. XLF. We're playing the range. The trender is flat, so we know what we're doing. So that means the extremes. Where are our extremes on this thing? Well, I see the extremes as being this blue zone and this yellow zone down here. All right. So what we've been looking for is the pop out of this to come all the way up there. It's done that, and it's come back down. It looks like it's failing now. A close above this red candle here will confirm that, and we should get possibly a new high from that point on. Okay, but because the trender's flat, I realize that this is a range type of area. All right. So if we get a new high there, that also means that we'll be retesting this for, well, this will be a multiple retest of this zone off the weekly charts, and I could easily see this breaking up here at 25.14 then. YM looks a lot like ES, except for YM we have not had the breakthrough yet. Alright, so it's formed our support level, but we haven't had the confirmation like we've had on the ES and NQ yet. So this one's kind of lagging behind as far as the bros are concerned, as many people like to call the indexes. So we could be looking at a nice potential buy in here on the smaller 60-minute time frames. So again, we want to buy at support. So there's a good support level that we can buy from. Yes, it is a big level. Sorry about that, but that is what price action has given us. So I would be, I want to buy in a confirmation way. Just like I want to sell in a confirming way. So let this thing come down here, put in a pivot, and then buy it as it comes out in a confirmation way. And last but not least, we have the bond market. Okay, so the bonds have had their retest of the high, and it looks like it's failed to break the high. So we were watching these levels in the past. We were saying that if price can't break this, then watch out for this aqua zone right here. And that's exactly what we're doing here, folks, on the daily time frame. So it's missed it by just a tick or two, it looks like. But it's really, really close. So we realize that this is a reload into support, but I don't think it's the right time to buy just yet. Okay, I could see maybe it coming down here and really touching this zone before it gets that nice retest of what we're looking at to have happen here. We also have the trend line right there that we've also drawn into place. So on the 60-minute, let's go see what levels confirm down here. And I actually don't see any levels down here. So let's go see how many days we have loaded. Oh, we only have 20 days loaded. Let's shift this back to like 180 days on the 60-minute time frame. Hopefully that will give us some levels inside of that daily zone. Alright, so now we have some levels inside the daily zone, and we can see the fractal nature of market symmetry coming into play. Alright, so we can be watching this one. Here's a nice aqua level, so that would be interesting if price found resistance right here, came down, splashed down just a little bit lower, just enough to stop out all those people that may have gotten long a little bit early, reloaded deeper into this daily zone off of like a 60-minute level in here, and then took it back up. That's what personally I would love to see happen. Now let's make the case for the short side. For the short side, we know that on the weekly charts, we can go all the way down here to 155, which it's a pretty good distance. Okay. So on the daily charts, that means that if we get a bounce off of here, and I think you could get a bounce off of here, we would be having to find resistance again. Okay, so some new resistance or supply would have to jump into effect, and then we could come down here to this yellow zone. But there is this nice fresh aqua zone that looks like it could hold some really good support. So we're going to battle with that for right now. and I think we'll get a real good retest of this level, just seeing how pretty it looks here. Okay, so we will see what happens in the week to come. But thank you everybody for joining me today. We've kind of gone through all the markets that we look at and how we're looking to forecast things. So now I will turn things over to the live audience just to go through their questions and comments. But we hope to see you again here next week for the Swing Pub. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you then.